Lopez is one of the most powerful openings in chess. Not only is it played by Magnus Carlsen and the world's best, but also, I believe, is a great opening at any level. So today I tested it against 5 opponents of increasing strength, and I'll show you the strongest plans and tactics for white, plus one sneaky trap you must avoid. Let's go. And here we go. Bishop b5, the starting move of the Spanish. My opponent was very quick, so let's shortly talk about the idea of the Spanish. We are attacking the knight, which is protecting this pawn. And now what they did with their knight, they protected it. So that if I'm gonna take, they're gonna take back. Well, definitely castle. This is something that in the Italian, in the Spanish, we always need to do, and in any opening, to be honest. Bring the king to safety. a6 was attacking our bishop, and this puts white in front of a very important question. Do you want to trade the bishop or do you want to keep it? And in general, a Spanish player loves to keep this bishop because attacking on the light squares can be strong in any stage of the game, but especially because all the weak squares on the king side are mostly, well, 2 out of 3 are on light squares. Okay. Big idea of the Spanish is to crush the center with the move c3, followed by d4. You might say, why the move c3? Well, the point is that we want to be able to take back with the pawn. Because like this, we have the great center. Our dream come true, right? The bishops, I'm calculating to sacrifice on f7. Because king takes, we have knight here, and once the king goes back, we slide the queen here, exploiting the bad move h6. And after g6, we take knight takes. We take with the queen king e7. And now we don't have still more pieces to give checkmate. We don't have the move bishop g5, which would win a queen. Are you telling me that it's too early for this? I believe this must be working. So after bishop here, bishop takes, check, the king goes back, queen here, this. What if we go back with the queen, threatening mate on f7? There is rook h7 protecting. So what again if we play this, the king goes back and just we play queen f3, threatening mate? The knight can't help. The queen can't help. This knight can't help. This bishop can't help. The rooks cannot help. The only way would be to move the queen so that after queen check, the king can run away. Let's go for the sacrifice. I'm not sure if this works. It should. We have many reasons why this sacrifice should work, but I don't see the mate until the very end, but I see very strong initiative for us. The only problem is that those two pieces are not playing yet. But after king goes there, we have the move queen f3, which is basically threatening mate. And only way to stop is to move this queen away. I don't see any other move. I don't know, do you see any other move? I really don't, because if you push this pawn, this is still checkmate. This bishop cannot help. Bishop here, we just take. This knight can come here, we just take it for free. Okay, let's understand, GG's, if this was good sacrifice or not. Are you ready? Are you ready? Next game. No, I'm kidding. Let's understand why it was not good. Oh, after actually, if king e8, this is a good sacrifice. But the king can go on g8. And in this case, this is good. Usually king g8 just falls for a checkmate, but in this case, there is no mate. That's genius. And after queen f3, I'm threatening nothing because the king has this square. Also, queen e8 is just protecting the threat. And then my pieces are not helping the attack. That's why before striking, you need to have all your pieces out. And here, what I can do is to simply go back with the bishop, which would leave him in a +1 advantage, but also knight e5, super strong. I'm not sacrificing anything, and after knight takes, I can take with the queen, and I'm attacking, same idea, right? So black has to play the move d5, and now what do? Queen f3, same idea, but better execution, because I don't even need to sacrifice. the bishop to attack f7. Black has to play the move f6 here, which allows queen h5, g6, only move I can take, and unless they want to lose a rook, they have to take, I take back, the king has to move, and this king is in the center of the board, very weak, +3 for white. Okay, next game. We go with the knight out, attacking the pawn, and bishop b5. Oh, that was quick. Knight f6 almost pre-moved. This is the Berlin defense. I'm going to castle. And this is a very important thing of the Spanish. Usually the pawn on e4 might be left hanging. But don't worry, we are not losing material. Now they're attacking this pawn. Very important to know that it seems like we might win a pawn, but usually we are not winning, because if we take, they take with the d pawn, and after knight takes this pawn, Black has a surprisingly good move, which is queen d4. But now it's a mistake, because at this point that move works, but now I can take here and I can win this pawn, because usually they have to take with the d pawn, by the way. And after knight takes, they play queen d4. But since I'm already castled, I can play knight f3. And if they take this pawn with the queen, there is rook e1. I win the queen. So they don't have a way to take back the pawn. And also here, if they take with the knight, I have rook e1. If they move the knight, I have a huge move. Let's say they try to protect it, because that is a little bit more resilient. So after rook e1, d5, I can play d3, forcing the knight to move. Okay, they are not even trying to save the pawn, which is probably a wise decision. I could now defend this knight either by pushing this pawn or by simply going back. Usually, if I have an active defense, I always go for the active defense. But if I play the move d4 tactics, well, then this pawn can be taken. Or at least, sorry, they can take first here, pawn takes, and then take this pawn. Not fully sure if that even works, because there is queen g4 attacking the knight and attacking this pawn. Then there is the move d5, we can take, rook here. It becomes complicated. It should probably work for white. Okay, let's go for it. And after knight here, knight takes, again, the move rook e1 is very strong. So, okay, great. Calculation. Chess is a concrete game. You can't base it just on general consideration, but sometimes you need to calculate and you will know which one is the best move. So now if they take, I take back with the pawn. Okay, they are not doing that, so we can keep going with the development. Knight c3, great move to defend this pawn. Also bishop g5 is a great move. And imagine, at some point I will be able to push the pawn on e5. That can become very strong. My only downside is that I had to give away my bishop to win that pawn. And the bishop would love to play here in these positions, because there are going to be lots of weak light squares, especially h7, especially cf7. That's why usually in the Spanish we want to keep that bishop. But if you can win a pawn is a pawn. In theory, we can try to convert this game just by trading off pieces, get to an endgame and win with an extra pawn. One extra pawn is not always enough to win a game. So I will try to stay flexible and also improve the position, try to gain even more advantage. Rook e8 is attacking this knight twice, so they're threatening to win a pawn. And I will defend it with the f-pawn. Be careful when pushing the f-pawn, because in the opening it weakens this diagonal, and there are all sorts of tactics with queen h4, the queen getting to this square, and you might be in trouble. When you are castled, you need to be careful to this diagonal. Because imagine a bishop on this diagonal and a knight on g4 coming here. That is very dangerous. In this case, this problem is not a problem, so we can keep going. I still need to bring out my bishop, my rook, my queen, and I will start with my queen. Why? Because this bishop doesn't really have a clear idea in mind. It could maybe go fianchetto, it could maybe go here or there, but the queen seems to have a clear path towards the queen side. Also, I might want to move this knight back before developing this bishop, because ideally this bishop wants to go on this side of the board. And I can't move this knight back if the pawn on e4 is not protected. But now my queen and my knight are both protecting it, so this is a move. I like to move bishop b7, trying to activate the piece, also looking at my queen. So now if I move back this boy, then c5 is a move. Because after pawn takes, this is hanging, so they can take, but I'm attacking. Okay, this is working. So again, tactically, it works. Like, this is usually a danger, but if you calculate that it's not a danger, it's not a danger. After the move c5, I'm just taking the pawn that is for free. And if they try to take the pawn back, they have a problem, because my pawn, by capturing, is attacking also the bishop. Before taking the bishop, though, I need to be careful when they take with the bishop to take care of my queen. So I have to take first the bishop, and then I can take their bishop on d6. They're threatening this pawn because the bishop could trade off the defender, and then this pawn is hanging. So I'm gonna play the move d5, attacking this knight. And be careful that this discovery attack is not really an attack, because the bishop is just hanging there. Now the knight needs to be moved, and if the knight moves here, I'm very happy to trade it, meaning that they have to take with a pawn. And the pawn is forever blocked, blocking the bishop behind. So I neutralized their only advantage in this position, which could potentially become a problem for me. And this, the bishop here. If the position gets closed, there are many pawns blocked in the center of the board. Wait, you didn't tell me? Probably you were saying like, Alessia, there is a free bishop. Okay, there was a free cheese macaroni, but we're first taking now the knight, and then we take the free cheese macaroni. Like the video if you saw that before me. I'm sure you did. I'm taking here with the pawn. No, with the knight, the pawn. And very good move. Very good move. Protecting the bishop. So, I mean, I could also just take this other free cheese macaroni. Very good. Just one thing I need to be careful is that this guy doesn't get in trouble. Now the queen is attacking this pawn, so I will develop the bishop, protecting it, and then I'm able to protect this this knight with my rook. I will go with this rook. So very important to say, guys, in general, a knight pin is a problem. But in this case, concretely, I know that it's not a problem for me, because who is going to attack this knight one more time? There is no pawn. Imagine if there would be a pawn on e6. Oh, that would be a problem. I gave away that pawn, I know. This I promise, I saw this. And the idea is that it's very important for me to just get rid of this, because I want to be able to move the queen away, and now I'm starting to threatening big things. Way more important than a b2 pawn. I'm threatening knight f6 check, which already wins an exchange, but also the rook is coming to the game. I can push forward my pawn on f5, meaning that this bishop is also coming to say hello. And there we go. We go with the knight here, giving a check. The king has to move. There is just one more danger remaining for us, and is the queen and the bishop looking at g2. As long as the queen is there protecting, we are completely fine. But now, I'm gonna take actually here, because I win a pawn, plus I'm going to win the other rook. So let's see where the king goes. The king might go out here. No, the king goes back. I'm taking here, because the rook is a little bit less active. I'm pushing this pawn, which means I'm threatening to take a free cheese macaroni, which then has the plan to take another free cheese macaroni, which is very juicy, because it's just made. And there is not really much to defend. Actually, there is one way. And this is not the way, because I'm taking, well, this is also a way. Yeah, that's a way, but they have to trade off the queens, which leaves us in an endgame with an extra rook, which should be pretty simple to convert. I will try to show you the fastest way to win this with white. Okay, they don't trade the queens, so I will bring another rook to the attack. This is the power of a rook lift. The rook is activated not only on open files, but also on ranks. And attention here, this looks like a free rook, but it's definitely not free. It's the most poisoned rook in history of chess, because this would be checkmate. Careful. So we take here, giving a check, and we can capture this rook now because the rook is protecting the mate. So, but always look for better. And I'm thinking if I can checkmate, but after rook check, they take here. And I don't have a mate because the rook is protecting. So, no. Here we give mate. Of course we give mate. We give a check. The king has to go. And that's a G, right? The king cannot do anything else, has to go back. Checkmate. And there we go, we have the Spanish against an higher rated opponent. What are they going to play? D6. This is a defensive move that understands the threat of the bishop attacking the defensor of the pawn and is just protecting the pawn. But this little boy is now sad inside the box of pawns. So we're just gonna go for our normal moves, which are castle. Okay, the bishop is pinning this knight. We'll play just the move c3, going for our plan anyway. a6 is attacking our bishop. We don't want to trade it. No. We keep this bishop. This is the Spanish strong bishop. It seems like the bishop might be locked actually at some point, but the moment the position is going to open up, this bishop is going to be very important to set up an attack on the king side. So we don't want to trade it too early. Let's go with the bishop back. Now there could be some tactics if my opponent makes some mistakes. For now it's all good. At some point it's very important to play this move, h3, because while the move h6 makes no sense, well, it had a sense to prevent maybe the move bishop g5. The move h3 makes them in front of a big decision. Do they stay on this diagonal or do they keep the pin? They decided to go for the pin, but now we will go for a slow Spanish because I can't go for the center for the move d4 if this knight is pinned, because I could have problem. But I will go for the full plan, bringing my knight to g3. And you will see this bishop on h5 is not well placed. No. The knight is now attacking b3. They are moving the knight one more time. So since we don't want to trade this bishop, we are allowed to move this bishop as well one more time. This is very typical. Now black will go for the counterplay on the queen side with the move c5 while we are going for an attack on the king side. The problem is that this bishop will have to move back many times, while black should have this bishop on the other side to keep going with an attack. Now, this bishop will have to move, probably back on g6. And then I will play the move knight h4. Be careful to this move. You want to always check for the in-between move, knight take e4, because if we take back, we lose a pawn. But in this case, this move doesn't work, because after knight takes, I can take here. And I'm also attacking the rook. So this just loses material. And now you see the bishop had to move one more time. And now we can bring one of our knight towards the square f5. This is our goal. We'll go with the knight on h4 just because that knight is a bit less stable. And how to keep going? Now there are many ideas. We could go for the move f4. We could go for the move queen f3. And I will play the move queen f3. Definitely, I don't want to trade the queen. So the queen, I don't want to leave my queen on the d file. I don't want to take there. Never. Because I want to keep my knight stable on f5. Why is the knight so powerful on that square? Because g7 is under attack. So if I can bring a queen here, for example, that would be very strong. Now, they are shutting down the action. I will play a calm looking move bishop d2, which is a cool idea. I can I connect the rooks, but I'm also threatening after pawn takes to take back. Good. Let's bring the rook also to the d file. This file is probably gonna be an open file if at any point black decides to trade. I'm not gonna trade myself. I don't want to help them to open up the queen side, which is where they should attack. And I'm thinking about, I have still many aggressive moves. For example, if this bishop at any point moves away, a sacrifice here could be very interesting. I mean, a sacrifice could be at any point interesting. Now I'm thinking about knight h5 as well. But I will prepare. I will improve even more pieces because my rook on the e file made no sense. And you might say like, Alessia, but the rook on the f file. There is a plan. And my idea is that at some point I want to trade my knight for the bishop. And the whole point is that I want to bring the other knight there to move the queen and to play the move f4. And then you see the purpose of the move rook f1. This pawn is now unprotected, so this move starts to look interesting. So this cannot be played. That's pretty much good. So we are improving the bishop as well. And the move knight h5, I was talking about this idea. You always need to calculate knight takes this and then g6, so you have something. Oh, bishop there. Again, the bishop has been moving one more time. So now it's time to go for this. Because after queen takes, they are going, okay, they're taking with the knight, which makes lots of sense. But it blunders material. This is a very typical tactic. This pawn is overloaded defending 1 and 2. So always look for bishop take h6. That's why my queen on f3 is particularly strong here, because now this tactic works. We won a pawn basically, and the only thing left is to keep going with the attack. I'm thinking about jumping the knight somehow, but let's go for the move f4. A beautiful idea in so many openings. Here we see the execution of it in the Spanish. Our rook is activated. Rook f1 made sense, finally. And now the rook can come here attacking this pawn. The other rook can simply join the action. The queen on f8 is defending everything, but now after rook here, that pawn... Oh boy, do you see it? It's beautiful. Is it working? I think so. I sacrifice the rook. The king has to take. Well, the king can also go there. And now I give a check. The king has no square to go. And after bishop here is just checkmate. Yes! GG's. The only move in this position was definitely king g8, but the attack is still overwhelming for white. Here we could take just another free cheese macaroni. Also, the rook is joining the party. Queen h4. I love this move, just straightening mate in one move. After bishop h7, this knight can join, this rook can join. This is looking very bad for black. Next game. And there we go. We have the Spanish against a 1500 ELO player. But this move, I've never seen in my entire life. This is a free pawn and is a free pawn. Dot. Okay, I can't really explain what happened here, but we were happy with it. Now they're attacking a pawn. We are protecting by making free the way for our for our bishop. So that's pretty much that's pretty much horrible. That was the plan. They had this trap in mind. Now 1, 2, and 3. Sorry, my arrows are horrible. Whatever. So my knight, bishop, and king are hanging. And I don't have a way to save all of them. That's very disappointing. Okay, we'll just castle and try to say like it was a sacrifice. Our plan is to use the advantage that we have in development. That's pretty much the only thing we have. So what do we need to do? Try to be very quick, very, very quick. So I'm playing the move d4, attacking the queen with a pawn, taking more space in the middle. I could also keep going by pushing this pawn even more at the right moment, of course. So let's play bishop g5. My plan is pretty straightforward. I want to attack this knight, and now I think I can... I can't really, because I trade lots of material. And they're about to castle. Okay, let's play then the move f4, with the idea that I want to just take all the space possible with the move f5 and e5. Also, if the king is castling... Is this another trap or what? Yeah, if the king is castling after f5, this knight has to go on h8, which is ugly. Plus, after the move e5, this bishop behind is unprotected. So after knight e5, I take here intermezzo, pawn takes, and I win a piece. So this position is starting to become already dangerous for them. Okay, we are now attacking the queen, and we restored material equality. They out us quite a bit, but I guess we can't complain. Once the queen is going to be moved, we are going to follow up with the move e5, attacking this knight, which has to move and doesn't have many good squares. Okay, shortly checking that this is not a problem and this is not a problem. Now I'm gonna take here, and you see those two pawns are very weak. I'm playing bishop b3, protecting my pawn, attacking this other guy. And at any point, I want to attack this king. I have an f file open, so queen f3 starts to become very interesting, especially now because the d4 pawn is no longer hanging. So I can take here, attacking the queen and looking at f7. They're pushing d6, attacking a pawn that is protected, and I'm taking here. By the way, guys, chess.com told me that the line that my opponent played is the Mortimer trap. So it's actually something that exists. And we need to understand how to avoid falling for the trap. We'll see it after I win this game. Let's start to take this pawn. I'm attacking here. They could take here intermezzo, but that's a huge mistake because I'm under check, but I'm going to save the check by moving the bishop away from the f file, attacking the queen. The bishop is still hanging, the f7 pawn is still hanging. Too many threats. Black position would be collapsing, and we have it on the board, so bishop e3. Only square I would say is queen f6. But no, they are taking a pawn, way too greedy, because now we give a check, the king is moving, and then I think we have it. GG's. After king here is just checkmate. Quick analysis because I fell straight for the trap. The move d3 to protect this pawn is a mistake. Good news, we have very simple defense, knight c3. The idea of queen check no longer works, but even stronger is the move castle. Because leaving this pawn hanging is okay here, because after knight takes, we just bring the rook to the middle. This knight has to move again. Notice that d5 is not even possible. The best square to go with the knight is d6, because we are attacking this bishop plus protecting the f7 pawn. What is white playing? Queen f3, a monster move. Black is paralyzed. They cannot move this knight because if they dare... Opa! We take here, well, we go with the queen here, giving a check, and we're attacking the queen. And if the queen moves on e7, we take it with knight, with the rook. Better with the knight, of course. So they cannot move that knight, and this means that they cannot move this bishop. And they cannot move this knight because they have to protect mate. So, what are they playing here? The best move is f6, trying to attack and get pieces out of the way, but we have queen h5. And after g6, now we can take this pawn because the knight cannot take, because the knight is pinned. So the best way is to lose a rook. I think I've said it all. Next game. Final game with the Spanish. We have an opponent rated 1658. What are they going to play? Okay, we have the main line, a6. Well, we could take this bishop, but we are not winning a pawn. So I love to keep the bishop and to go for the main plans. For me, ooh. Bishop c5 is not a main move because it could run into an immediate problem, which is knight take e5. I'm sacrificing a knight because I want to play the move d4. and win back by giving a fork. Attention, this doesn't work if you have a bishop on c4. Because once the knight is taking back, the bishop is hanging. But with the bishop on a4, that's completely fine. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Basically, I played this sacrifice, but when there is already the knight here. Because now I need to be a little bit careful about this move. So if I play the move d4, can I play queen h4? Then I play king here, they take, and I win the knight. So that's not good. Because the bishop is hanging. So I have to play knight here. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so this position should be good for me because I have the bishop pair. I will play the move d4, taking full control of the center. Here I'm not able to play d4 immediately, but I should be able to play it at the next move. So should be a good position. We will check it in the analysis, by the way. Now I'm quite sure this is a great position for us because the move c6 is pretty much horrible. It opens up this diagonal for the queen, but d4 is shutting it down. Ideally, what I want to do is to play rook f1. Sorry about that. And then to go with the king to safety. Usually they like to give this check, but the knight is just hanging. And if queen h4, I can just play g3 maybe. Yeah, let's calculate. I could go with the king back, but also g3 looks amazing. And then the knight and the queen are under attack. If knight here, I go with the king there. And they don't have pieces to attack me. This pawn is protected. And if knight g4, it seems like, yeah, the knight is... They are attacking, but they are not attacking. And at some point, they will run out of moves. Okay, they give a check. Now, I could simply move my king here. The king is pretty safe. This check is not working because the queen is controlling. This knight is still hanging, and my rook is coming to f1, attacking the queen and f7 behind. Remember, f7 is always a big target in all e4, e5 structures, and in many openings, because it's simply the only pawn that is protected only by the king. So we will attack it once with the rook and then with this bishop. So this bishop is sneaky because can attack this square, but also h7, which is very vulnerable once the king is castled, because that square, that pawn, is again just protected by the king. So now they're moving the knight to c4. Make sure to control where the knight can go, but all these squares are controlled, so very natural move, beautiful. Attacking the queen. My next move is gonna be probably bishop b3, attacking the knight and this pawn behind. Queen g6, attacking a pawn which is right now well protected, so we go back with the bishop. b5 is pretty much the only move for them. I could already take and create a huge weakness. But to be honest, I want to do something different. Stronger. And I will play queen e2. I'm threatening to win a pawn. Because by taking, I'm just winning a pawn. And I think it cannot be stopped. For example, if d5, I'm taking here with check. And they're losing even more material. Okay, the knight is looking at this pawn, so once if I take this pawn, this guy is hanging, but the king is stuck in the middle of the board, so I can't believe, and I did some calculation that this pawn can be taken. In fact, they are not taking it, meaning that we have an extra pawn. We can be very happy about the outcome. My king is a little slightly weak, but we should be all right. We just need to be a bit cautious. Now, e5 is a move that is like screaming at me, and I love it because I'm attacking the knight. Oh, all good. I shortly saw the in-between check, but the rook is covering, attacking the queen, and the knight is still hanging, so that pawn cannot be taken. But yeah, a small blunder there. I should have checked it before playing the move e5. I just got a little bit lucky. The knight is moving to a4. Trades are usually good for me. Still need to finish my development. You know what? I will let them trade. I will go with the bishop out. Like here maybe? There is d5 that they can play then. Well, d5 en passant. Amazing. So bishop f4. Looks great. If d5, I'm taking a passant. This bishop is pretty much in bad shape, and all I want is to bring my other rook to the game. And if they take, I'm happy to take back with the queen, protecting the pawn on c2. All good. I like it. I like to say, don't be the first one to trade. Usually works very well. Why should I be the first one to trade and help the queen get in gear, give a check, being attacking all these pawns? No. I can rather let them trade. And, well, my queen is not really getting improved, but at least we are not improving their queen. So usually it's a good suggestion here. It's not a big deal, but in some positions it's really a huge difference between trading first or letting your opponent make the trade. a5, what's their threat? Very strong. Bishop coming here to annoy everything we have on this diagonal. So attention here. I'll play queen d3 and you say like, hey, there is still everything here. But we are attacking the knight, which is hanging. So if the bishop comes there, I'm taking, and I'm getting 2 pieces for the rook, which is a great deal. Just not just numerically, because would be 6 points, but also because the rooks are not so strong in the middle game. Instead, in towards the end game, they get stronger. So good to have right now 2 minor pieces. Of course, they are not doing that. Makes sense. And now we have a very interesting middle game, because we have, okay, I can't cover with the queen. I need to go back here, because we have opposite color bishop. And this is a potential problem for me, because I don't have anyone defending the light squares. This bishop can't help. So imagine bishop b7, c5. Opa! I have problems, so I have to be very careful. Usually what they say is that in this type of positions, you need to be the one attacking. Because if you're the one attacking, you have an extra piece, basically. And I have to be personally extremely careful, because now c5 is a huge threat. So one move that comes to mind is to play queen c5, basically offering a trade, and I like it because while trading we have an extra pawn, a very nice pawn structure. This pawn will be very weak, and if they don't trade, if they move the queen anywhere, for example, if they take that pawn, the queen is actually getting trapped. The queen is protecting this pawn, and now how is the queen escaping from here? This is a box. Attention at taking poison pawns. This was definitely very, very poisoned. Now, just this move, and the rook is gone, no? If the queen goes there, the other rook is coming, the queen has no square to go. All right, they're taking, meaning that the queen is hanging. Now, this pawn is just one step away from promotion, so we have to be very careful. Block it, and our main plan in this position is get that pawn, because that's dangerous. We're in a good spot because they have no way to attack this rook and basically promote, forcing us to move it away. But what they want to do is to go for rook b1 check. That is dangerous. So I'm calculating queen c4, which is attacking this pawn. They have to move the bishop, and if the bishop goes here, we take it with the queen. Now, is there any dangerous discovery, whatever? No, not really, because the king is on a dark square. And if they move the bishop anywhere, we can even take the rook and get 2 rooks for a queen. Actually, it's even back rank checkmate. Okay, so this move is very strong. If they move the rook anywhere, the bishop anywhere else, or if they play any other move, we just take it here with the rook. And this check is not annoying because we can just move the king up somewhere, probably on a dark square, just to be safer. Yeah, I think this is very bad for them. Also, their time is ticking. All right, they took a decision, moving the bishop back, but this allows this move. There is a check, but that's just a check because the king is gonna move on a dark square in full safety, and they're running out of time. All right, they give a check. Let's put them under pressure, moving the king very quickly. They're gonna take our rook, or maybe just run out of time. And GG's. How to win this position for white? The quickest way is, for example, after the rook trade, to use the queen and the bishop to attack together a dark square. Which one is the weakest? G7. So you can use your queen to sneak in, you can open up the square for the bishop, and it will be impossible for black to defend that pawn either with this bishop or with this rook. GG's. If you enjoyed this video, check out this one. I tested Gotham favorite opening with the black pieces. Is it really so good? Check it out. Ciao!